Welcome back, Wealth Builders. Michael Rosmer here with Richucation. Excited to be with you guys. I hope you're loving these videos. Thank you for being here. Appreciate, this is my passion, this is our passion, and so really grateful that we have someone to share it with. It's great. We're going to talk today about assets in business, okay? And this is kind of an overview, a recap, etc. of ways that you can leverage assets in your business to in the different areas we've talked about. So again, going through, realizing, okay, what have we got? Well, we've got, we got to get great deals. We've got to, get profitable customers. We've got to have a team. We've got to scale. So we're going to talk about assets that help us facilitate these things, because I talked before about how multiplying ownership makes everything else easier. Okay, so let's get into it. So first of all, we can talk about kind of from a supply side. Which supply, we're really talking about costs typically, right? So supply side is usually about costs and about getting great deals. So what are some examples of assets that we might have on the supply side? Okay, so we might have technology. We might have IP. We might have trademarks or copyrights. Okay, trademarks / copyrights. What else might we have? We might have so intellectual property, I guess, would be something like like if we had a book or something like that we'd written, or some sort of videos we'd made, right? These would qualify as intellectual property. What else might we have? Well, we might have some sort of infrastructure, right? So infrastructure. Let's go here so we can separate that out. Infrastructure, equipment, What else might we have? These are all things, again, that we can buy them once and we can use them multiple times over and over again, that are going to provide us with a financial or a time-based return, either by reducing the amount of time or money that has to go in, or providing some sort of upside, right? So let's see here. What else have we got? I made a list to try and cover some of it. Oh, yeah. Documentation, templates. This might include like legal, right? So if I have a contract that I've paid to have made once, right? I might spend $1,000 getting it made, and great, now all of a sudden I can go and I can use it multiple times over, right? That's an asset, right? Something that gives me a certain benefit, but I can, in theory, use it an unlimited number of times. What else have we got here? Those are kind of some of the main ones that we're going to typically have. I'm sure you can think of more because there's lots of different examples, but these will give you like somewhat of a starting point. And there's going to be a bit of an overlap between some of them, okay? There's one other way we're going to talk about that I want to caution you on, because it can be an asset and it can not be, okay? And this is systems, all right? Systems. So you might have heard me mention before that when I was kind of early on in business, I was really, or not early on, I had my first business, then I wasn't in business, then I went into my second company, and in my second company I was really big on systems. Okay, you'd hear me talk a lot about it, and where did that come from? I mean, I had heard this, like, the idea of McDonald's, it's all a system. And I certainly at the time overemphasized systems, okay? Is that because systems are poor or ineffective, etc.? No, not at all, okay? You absolutely are going to systemize. Systems are going to help you. Systems are going to create consistency. That's going to help with scalability. They can save you time. There's an acronym I remember here, people saying, saving you stress, time, energy, and money. That's like systems or something like that, right? So that's like an acronym. This can all be true, all right? But systems are like technology and people to some extent, okay? If you have an inefficient way of doing things, technology will multiply the inefficiency. If you have an inefficient way of doing things, putting people on it will multiply the inefficiency. Okay? If you have an efficient way of doing things, technology will multiply the efficiency. If you have an efficient way of doing things, people will multiply the efficiency. Okay? So the foundation is we want that efficient way of doing things at the beginning. This is where we talk about have something that works. Right? Very, very important. So from the perspective of systems, if a system is a better way of doing things, it saves you time, energy, money, then it's good. Okay, then it's an asset. So not all systems are assets. And this is how come a lot of people overemphasize systems and they systemize prematurely. Okay? When you are systemizing, you want to first make sure that it works, you want to optimize it, then you want to systemize it. Then after doing that, you're going to re-optimize it, right? And then you're going to re-systemize it, and you can have that little loop, which we talked about in one of the videos. I don't remember which one in particular. It was, we were talking about the loop in the various stages of business, right? Okay, so not all systems are assets, okay? If you systemize an inefficient way of doing things, that's actually hurting you, okay? So we want to make efficient first. Okay, so what I'll often hear people who are just starting out doing is they'll be like, they're starting out making a system. I'll see people who the first thing they do is sit down and write a sales script, but they've never had a sales call or a sales conversation. That's a poor way of doing things because of the fact that you want to have some initial conversations to find out how the market responds, and then you're going to systemize how they respond well to it, and you're going to optimize it. Okay? As opposed to going and saying, okay, let's just come up with whatever and systemize that. Okay? So we want to provide, we're going to deliver before we're going to systemize. Okay? First we deliver, then we systemize. And this is how come in our, it's the second level of business, we talk about delivery and then establishment. You notice we deliver before we establish. Kind of bizarre, you might think, but it's because of this. Okay? So make efficient first. So it's what works, systemize, and then optimize. Okay? And of course, then you're going to re-systemize and you will re-optimize so that you're always improving. Okay? So that's another asset, potentially. So systems that work are an asset. Very valuable. Can be like highly, highly important. All right? What else have we got? Well, now we can get into the subject of marketing systems or demand side systems. We'll call it marketing. All right? So, marketing. What are some assets we have in marketing? Well, we've got lists. We've got data, like customer data, etc. Right? You could have data, by the way, here. Product data, etc. You've got collateral, websites. Again, you could have technology, but because we mentioned it up here, I'm not going to duplicate it. You could have brand. You could have contracts. One of the things you're going to notice I'm not particularly mentioning here is customers, okay? You might say customers are an asset. We're separating here that the reason that I want to not mention customers in this particular case is because if somebody isn't, somebody can buy from you and not come back. And so then are they an asset? Not really, right? If we have a contract with them, right, something long-term, then yeah, that's an asset. If we have brand recognition, then yes, that's an asset. If we have users, right, so like as an example, in a lot of tech companies, we talk about active daily users, right? So users are an asset, right? Visitors might be an asset. Visitors. A location might be an asset. Okay, so as an example, if I've got a great prime location, remember what's the rule they say in real estate, location, location, location. We actually have a different set that we apply in Richucation, where location is only one of the three. But that's, by the way, ours, I'll just tell you, is location, deal, and structure. Okay, so we pay attention to those three things. Anyway, all right, asset quality you could also pay attention to, and management quality, I guess. Okay, so marketing, list data, collateral, websites, branding, location, users, contracts, other things that we could have here. Distribution. Okay, so if we have some sort of a distribution network, then that is an asset. And again, you know, we can go out to those distributors, we can get more from them. Let's see here. Unique products, right? So if we can have a unique product, then that would be an asset. Sale, like messaging. Messaging / campaigns. So if we've pre-built something that we've tested that work, again, this is kind of falls onto the same thing, that work. So they have to be ones that work. But if we do, then we built it once, we don't have to reuse it, right? This is going to include ads, right? Ads that work. Targeting data, etc. Funnels, all that kind of thing. Yeah, that does give you a pretty good idea. So the key thing here that we want you to realize is when you're marketing, like what so many people do is they go out and they do sales. They go out and they do networking, right? I'm getting sales stuff through. But the problem is they're not building brand. They're not building lists with data. They're not getting collateral that they can reuse. They're not optimizing a website that's very valuable. SEO positioning, that could be location, right? So location could be position. They're not getting contracts. They're not engaging regular users or visitors. They aren't building distribution. They aren't building unique product. These are the things that allow you to grow that company. Okay, so most of what people do is not growth oriented. All right, it's activity oriented. We want growth oriented. Remember, we talked about in the productivity section, built to last, right? In the section on management, built to grow. This is built to last. All right, built to last is what allows us to go to that next level. Okay, so very, very, very important. What else have we got here? Now, now we can talk about team. Okay, so again, we mentioned how team in and of itself is not, we don't refer to it as an asset. Although it's arguably, it's hyper valuable, all the value is added through team. So it's very valuable. That being said, we're going to mention some things here because they scale. Okay, so as an example, world-class people. Okay, the impact of world-class people can scale. All right. So that's one thing when it comes to team. Obviously, we've got all these operational things, right? So we might have some sort of documentation, templates, etc., how we engage with people. We might have an environment, right? So an environment that works well for the team. So as an example, here's a really interesting one. Research indicates that if you can see, so when you're designing something, you can see the people who you're designing it for, then you tend to do a better job at designing it. Really interesting, right? So that's one example of maybe you've designed an environment that's very conducive to working. Maybe you have some sort of an incentive structure, okay? So it might have taken some time to come up with an incentive structure that works well, but once you've got it, how many times can you reuse it? Like a gajillion, right? So that's very useful. If we go back to supply, we could have financial assets, right? So we could have something like a line of credit, right? Credit terms. Credit/terms. Okay? So once I negotiate terms with a supplier, how much can I use that? Lots, right? Maybe I've got, and that could include, deals, right? So negotiated deals. You can really look pretty much at any of your economies of scale and scope. as examples of assets, right? There's something that I actually have literally done business in cases because of that. When we were in a position where, as an example, we had really great advertising rates, and so it gave us a competitive advantage. So the question was, where else can we use these great advertising rates? Okay, so that's negotiated deals, which also came in part from economies of scale. Okay. Anything else to mention here? I think that gives us a decent outline, and helps you to figure out, like, okay, what are some of the things I should be working on that I can build them once, they're going to last, have this long-term impact, right? Another thing that I might pay attention to, which we've mentioned before, but I'm going to re-emphasize, because the really big key, assets in business, is leverage them against one another to increase value. So, as an example, let's say that I have a really, so now we can see here all this stuff, right? Say I've got a really efficient system. Well, the more customers I apply that to, the more people are benefiting, the more value we get, right? If we have great deal terms, the more we can take advantage of it, the better. We have technology, we have copyrights, we have, documentation. The more times, just imagine this. If I pay, again, goes back to the cost halo, right? We've got this asset of legal, say in the case of like a template or a contract, etc. If I spent $1,000 on a contract and I use it once, for that transaction, my transaction cost was $1,000. But if I use it 1,000 times, my transaction cost is $1, right? So the more, let's say it's a contract for customers, right? Every customer has to sign this. And we go through, and that's part of what we do. Well, if we have our assets, like we're building lists, we're building a brand, etc., that is driving more sales, and then applying the legal, excuse me, then all of a sudden, the value proportionally goes up, or conversely, the cost per use goes down, right? Same thing with a website. The more traffic we've got, the more valuable it is, right? So I hope that helps, gives you a little bit of a sense and overview here of just what it is that we can expect, and things that you can do. Like, this is the stuff you should be building. This is somebody that I know has an ad that they'll run, and they'll say, this is what $500 an hour work looks like, and they're showing like building templates, etc., templates, processes. That's because you do that work once, and it has this long-term payoff, right? If I have to go from doing something once to being, and say somebody has to do it over and over and over and over again, right? And every time they do it, it costs $50. And I can do it once and then reuse it 100 times. Well, then that was a $5,000 activity, right? Crazy. So hope that helps. Guys, if you want some support and assistance on this, you want us to say, hey, let's look at your business, let's look at the assets, see how you can be building assets to move yourself forward, reach out to us, join the action classes. Assets are key. Ownership of assets is going to drive your growth, your progress, your wealth. Join the action classes. I'll see you guys on the next video.